Actually, Tarayim Tov. Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to be learning today on Daf Yud Dalud Amud Bet. We're continuing in the Mishnah. The Mishnah was telling us different dinim, different laws, different things that you needed, certain amount of judges, certain amount of people. We just ended up with the mitzvah of Egla Arufa. Chashom, someone was found dead outside of a city. We don't know who killed him. They would bring an Egla Arufa, and the people had to measure it. Was the Sanhedrin had to come out? We said La halacha, it's 5, and the Sanhedrin had to come out. According to one opinion, it was 3. According to one, it was the whole Sanhedrin. That's where we ended off the Gemara. We're moving on to the next part of the Mishnah. The Mishnah said as follows, and we're on 14B-3. The 2 dots on your dollar and bed on the bottom. Neta reva'i uma'aser sheni she'en damav yodaim b'shlosha. So first, what's neta reva'i? This is the 4th year produce. The first 3 year is orla. You can't use it. The 4th year is like, it becomes like ma'aser sheni. You have to take it to Yerushalayim in order to eat it in Yerushalayim. Now, if you can't take it to Yerushalayim, you can't take the physical produce to Yerushalayim, so then you redeem it on some money, right? On the value, the exact value of the money. You redeem it on the exact value of the money, and you take it up to Yerushalayim in the money, and you buy it what to eat with. That's both netereva'i. That is the 4th year fruit, and the Meiser Sheni. That's you give after you give Truma, after you give Meiser Rishon. Meiser Sheni is given in the 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 5th year of the Shemitah cycle. If you know how much you have to give, you know the exact value. You know each apple costs $1. You know each tomato costs $1, and you have 100 tomatoes. You bring up $100, whatever it is. You bring it up. Now, the Mishnah said, "She'en damav yidu'in b'shlosha." But let's say you don't know the amount of value of the apples. Let's say you have 100 apples and you don't know how much they cost. So you want to redeem it, the Meiser Sheni, and bring up the money to Yerushalayim to eat from that money, but you don't know how much it is. You have to have 3 people appraise it. You have to have 3 people evaluate how much it costs. Now later, the Gemara is going to tell us there has to be shlosha lekuchot, 3 purchasers. Lekuchot means people who are taking it. Rashi seems to be learning it. It's 3 purchasers. That it means 3 people. You ask them how much it costs. Each one gives you a price, and then you take the average of the 3 prices, and that's how much it is. Tosafot learns it differently. Tosafot learns it that you actually give it to them as a bid. You tell them how much you want for it. You ask 3 of these people, and the one who gives the highest bid, that's the price that you're going to redeem your Meiser Sheni on. That's the way Tosafot learns Lokuhot. So anyway, Tani Rabbanon, how do you do not know? Remember, Eretz was an agricultural society, so how do you not know the price of produce? Everybody knows it. So there's certain cases. Perot shehir kivu, fruit that started to go bad. It started to rot. It started to go bad. So now that becomes difficult to assess how much it's worth. So therefore, you need to get it appraised by 3 people. Ve'yayin shehikrim, and wine that started to go bad. Hikrim actually means it's like a film, like a layer on top of the wine. Because what happens when wine goes bad, the bacteria is there and it produces this gray-like mold, you would like to call it, that's on top of the wine, and it goes bad. It starts to get ruined. So again, wine is worth something, but now that it's ruined, you don't know the exact price. So therefore, you have to have 3 people to come and assess. And the third case is umaot shehihlidu, and coins that have rusted, meaning you have the coin and they rusted, so now they might have lost their value. They have to figure out how much they're worth, and you can bring them up to use. Tani Rabbanon, ma'aser sheni she'en damav yadu'in, ma'aser sheni that you don't know the value, podin oto b'shlosha lekuchot. 3 purchasers have 3 merchants, 3 expert merchants, have to make an assessment of a law b'shlosha she'en lo kuchot. But don't get involved people who are not expert merchants, meaning people who don't know anything about products or about produce. They're not the ones to tell you the price. Now, who is included? Who can be the experts to judge? Afilu nachri echad mehen. Even a guy can be one of those people. Because all you want to know is the value. The guy have no value. They know quality of fruit, food, and stuff like that. So you ask them, even one of them can be the evaluators. Afilu echad mehen be'alim. Even if one of them is the owner of the fruit itself, the person who owns the fruit. So even if the person who owns the fruit, he can be one of the judges to say how much it is. The boy Rabbi Yirmiyah asks, Shlosha umatilin letoch kis echad mahu. What happens if you have three people who are partners in a business? Okay, meaning they all put their money in one pocket, they all take it out from one pocket. The question is as follows. The Yirmiyah's question is as follows. Do we look at these three people as three individuals, and as such, they're giving us three different evaluations, and there could be this is the three people that you need to ask? Or do we say, since they're all financially from the same place, therefore they're only considered one evaluator and not like three evaluators? So how do you look at it? That's Rabbi Yirmiyah's question. Three partners who all are financially dependent on each other. How do you look at them as three individuals or as one? What's the law? The Gemara wants to give an answer. The Gemara says, Toshma, come in here. Ish, ushtei nashav, podin maaser sheni, she'en damav yud'in. A man and his two wives can be the judges to check how much the Maaser Sheni is worth. So what does it seem to be saying? The wife and the husband, they're financially dependent of each other, right? So as such, you see, people who are financially dependent on each other can be the judges. The Gemara says, no, not necessarily. When it says a husband and two wives, Dilma, maybe, Kigoin Rav Papa, Uvat Abba Sura'ah. And the daughter of Papa and his wife, the daughter of Abbas Sura'ah. What was this case? The daughter of Abbas Sura'ah, she was very wealthy. She owned a lot of property, she owned a lot of stuff. She was very wealthy. And when she got married, she told her husband, I don't need your support. I'd rather keep my own money and you keep your own money. I'm financially independent of him. So she never asked him for anything, and she was able to keep her own money. So now, as such, they were not financially dependent on each other. Rather, they were financially independent of each other. So as such, this case was a case where it's possible to say this case where the man and two women, the man and his two wives, is when each one is financially independent. So you don't have proof from there that if they're financially dependent, that they could be the judges. Okay, this is where the Gemara ends on this issue. Now the Ran starts off this piece of Gemara, and he says, how do we even know that you could be podeh, that you can redeem Meiser Sheni on coins, and you could be redeeming the fourth year fruit on coins? It doesn't say anywhere in the Torah that. He says, since Maaser Sheni is going to be very close in the Torah, it's right next to psukim, next to Hekdesh, when someone donates something to the Beit HaMikdash, and there it does talk about being podeh, of redeeming it. Since it's next to each other, we learn the dinim from each other. That's what the Ran says, that how we even learned a lot of being podeh at all. What's it called? The Maaser Sheni, and Neter Reva'i is compared to Maaser Sheni, so you learn an extension from there as well. Okay, now what's the halacha l'maaseh? Halacha l'maaseh, according to the Rambam, what would be the din to redeem? How many people you need, and what's it called? And who can be part of it? So here we're going to reach you in the halacha. How do you point the netter reva'i? מניח את הסל על פי שלו, ועומדים כמה אדם רוצה לפדות לו בסלע על מנת שיוציא את שם וחומרים פועלים בביתו. They ask how much you want to buy it for. Seems to be the way Tosfos learns, right? ואחר שקוצרים את השער מניח את המעות ועומר כל נלקח מזה מחולל על המעות אלו משאר כך סילם בסלע. So they're basically saying that they judge it that way. They look to see how much everyone wants to buy it. Saying if you want to be Meister Sheni, Ein Potim Sheni Aksara, Ainu Ma'umad B'limada Umashke, El Medaktek Midato or Mashkalo V'noten Dama. When you come to Meister Sheni, you're not allowed to make estimates. You have to do it very carefully, the amount, the exact amount. Im Hayu Damav Yodeim, if you know exactly how much it's worth, if they're Al Pi Echad, you don't need 3 people, just 1 person. Ve'im Davar She'en Damav Yodeim, you don't know how much it is. Kigon yayin shehetchil achmetz, wine that got bad. Or pears shehikaru, or pears that went bad. Or ma'od shehechlidu yifadeh al pi gimel tagrim. 3 experts. Even if one of them is a nachri, one of them is the owner. Afilu ish v'shtei nashav podin al pihem. And the halacha is that a man and his 2 wives can be the people to say the amounts. And here he brings down, it has to be people who really want to be buying it. People who really know, not some people who just show up to say, let me just give you my advice. Okay, now if it's 2 goyim or two owners, it seems to be that from the Yerushalmi that it needs to be only one of them could be a guy or the owner. But there are opinions, it could be a guy, owner, and somebody else. So anyway, that's the halachot that come out from there. Let's move on to the next piece of Gemara. Hahekdeshot b'shlosha. So something is at hekdesh. All right, so you have to. We need a little hakdama here before we start. The Torah in the end of Sefer Vayikra, the end of Sefer Vayikra is going to talk about erech values. Then talk about metaltalin, and then talk about land. Okay, so what's each one? Erech value is there's a certain value that each person is worth. Person says, I'm going to give my erech value to the Beit HaMikdash. The Torah tells us a male at this age is worth this much for erech value, 50 coins, whatever it is, and he has to give it. That's if he says, I'm going to give my erech value. Female, at whatever age she is, also gives, depending on that, upon the erech value. Okay, and it says the word kohen 3 times in there. Then it says about metaltalin. A person wants to give movable objects to the Beit HaMikdash. It says again the word kohanim 3 times. Then it talks about land. If a person wants to give land to the Beit HaMikdash, and there it says the kohanim, the word kohanim 4 times. So in these 3 parshiot that are one after each other, about giving stuff to Hekdesh, and it also talks there about redeeming stuff from the Beit HaMikdash. So, for example, I gave to the Beit HaMikdash a phone, right? For example, and then someone wants to come and redeem it, or I want to redeem it myself. I can give money to the Beit HaMikdash, whatever it's worth, plus a little more, and then I can get it from them. So all these dinim are in the psukim that deal with erech value, metaltalin, which are movable objects, and karka, which is land. Okay, so now that you have this hakdama, let's start. In our Mishnah, it says when it comes to Hekdesh, you need 3 people to appraise how much each thing is worth before you redeem it. So right now, this phone is in the Beit HaMikdash. I want to come and get it. So I need to have 3 people tell me the value that needs to get paid for it. So that's what the Mishnah said. Gemara starts, Matnit and the Leikah Tana. Our Mishnah is not like this Tana. The Tanya, we have a Braita. Even if you want to redeem a 4th from the Beit HaMikdash, you need 10 people to appraise it. You need 10 appraisers. Papa said to everything is good according to this opinion that says you need 10. Because he's saying like Shmuel. What did Shmuel said? Asara Kohanim, the Amar Shmuel said, Asara Kohanim Ketuvim B'Parsha. It says 10 times the word Kohanim, 3 times by Erech, 3 times by Mentaltalin, and 4 times by land. 3, 3, and 4 gets you to 10. Since it says the word Kohanim when it talks about Hekdesh, giving Sat to the Beit HaMikdash, I know I need 10. That's why it makes sense. That's what Shmuel says. El Rabbanon and the Rabbanon, Shloisha Manalahu. But where do you know you only need 3? Where are you getting 3 from? 10, I know. It says 10 Kohanim. So why do I need, well, where are you getting the number 3 from? And then you want to say, because when it comes to metaltalin, when it comes to movable objects, or it comes to erech value, it says there are only 3 times kohanim, then karkaot yichtivahu arba tiskeba arba. So then by land, it only says kohanim 4 times. Let me have only 4. You're saying the reason why you need 3 by movable objects is because it says kohanim only 3 times by there. But at land, it says 4 times kohanim, so let me have only 4. If you're going to tell me, oh, that's actually the case, that it should only be 4 by the land, in our Mishnah, it says, HaKarkaot, when it comes to land that's hektish, you need Tish'ah v'Kohen. You need 9 people and a Kohen. It means you need 10 altogether. So where is the rabbis in the Mishnah getting 3 from? Elamai, the Mishnah behu asara. It must be because when it comes to land, you're adding up all the Kohanim up until then. You had 3 by Erech, you had 3 by Metaltalin, and you had 4 by land, so 3, 3, and 4, you get to 10. The Gemara says, but if that's how you got to 10 for the land, take the shot. Then if you get to Metaltalin, what we're talking about, movable objects, first you had Erech, which is 3, and then you had 3 Kohanim by the Metaltalin case. You have a total of 6 Kohanim. So you should need 6 people. The Gemara hands up and says, Kasha. You're right, this is a difficulty. But again, whenever the Gemara says Kasha, and it does not say Tiyufta, Tiyufta means we're refuting whatever we said. And whatever we learned as halacha goes out the window. But whenever we say Kasha, it means it's difficult to understand, but the halacha remains. And that's what the Rambam brings down, the halacha. The Rambam brings down that that you would only need 3 people to redeem hektish, movable objects in hektish. Metaltalin only needs 3. Toras Chaim tries to explain it as follows. Toras Chaim says, okay, it's a kasha, let's try to explain it. He says, when it says by Erech 3, and when it says by Metaltalin 3, how much is a regular beit din? A regular beit din is 3. So it tells me 3, it tells me regular beit din. And a regular beit din is not an equal. So 3 is a regular beit din. So it says 3 by Erech, 3 by Metaltalin, so it's a regular beit din. By land, it comes and says 4. 4 is not a regular beit din. 4 is not a regular beit din, and 4 is an equal number. So it can't be 4, it has to be more than 4. So therefore, we're going to make it 10. Now in the end, now we're going to add up all the kohanim, and you're going to get to 10. Even though 10 is equal, we're not worried about equal of that amount. And therefore, when it comes to land, we have 10. And when it comes to the other things, all you need is 3. That's the way the Toras Chaim wants to explain the kasha, or try to take away the difficulty with this. Okay, now we come to ha'arachim. When you come to erech value, the Mishnah said, arachin hamitaltilin, movable objects that are erech value. Now, what can be an erech value? What has erech value? Torah says only humans can have erech value. So what does it mean, movable objects that have erech value? The only thing that has an erech value, the end of the parsha, the Sefer Vayikra, talks about humans, right? This is the famous drasha everyone says, because it brings the ages, and it says over there that a man in his prime is worth like a huge amount of money, right? 50 coins, something like that, and a woman is like 20 or something like that. And then when you get older, the man drastically falls by like 45 coins, whereas the woman only goes down like in 10, 15 coins, like much, much less, right? And the Rashi over there brings down that what? Because when a woman gets older, she's still very valuable at home. She knows how to run a house. But when a man gets older and he's around in the house, Daddy sad. He's everybody's headache. He doesn't know what to do. It's like making trouble for everybody. So erech is a value for humans. So how can the Mishnah say the value of erech on metaltalin, a movable object? So we have to understand what this means. So I'm Rav Gidol Marav. Rav Gidol said the name of Rav. You know what it means? When a person says, erech alai. Someone says, picks up this cup, and he says, the erech value of this cup, I have to pay to the Beit HaMikdash. Now, there's no such thing as an erech value in this. It doesn't have an erech value. So, what does he mean? So, the Amar Gidol Amar Rav, erech like kileze alai, erech kileze alai, no tendamah. He has to give money instead. My time. What's the reason? There's no such thing as an erech value in a cup. Adam yodea she'en erech l'chli. Everybody knows there's no erech value on objects. Erech value is only on humans. The gamma v'amar l'shum damim. So when he used the word erech, he was using it in the language of a monetary value. So he just meant to say, I want to give the value, not the erech value. He meant to say, I give the value of it. Therefore, he gives them the money. Rav Gidol, the Gemara where this comes from in Arachin, the Gemara there really explains Rav Gidol holds that people don't talk nonsense. That when people talk, they mean something. Therefore, if he said, I want to give erech value of a cup, we're not going to say it's just a nonsense statement and it didn't mean anything. It means that he wanted to give the value and he's just using a borrowed term to say value. And erech was the wrong thing to use, but that's what he meant. And therefore, he has to give that amount. The Gemara says, "Ha'arachin hamitaltilin." Is that the Mishnah said? Arachin hamitaltilin. Erech, the movable objects. Arachin that are movable, but this is not movable arachin. This is arachin shel mitaltilin. This is the erech value of a movable object. It should have said arachin shel mitaltilin mibayim. Why did it say arachin hamitaltilin? It can't be the case. The Gemara says no. Tane, switch the Mishnah. Let the Mishnah say arachin shel mitaltilin. Erech values of movable objects. So the Mishnah is not being very exact. It could mean this as well. Rav Chizda says, Rav Imi, he has to give another reason. He says it can't be this case of Rav Gidol Amarav, because only Rav Gidol Amarav holds that people don't talk nonsense. Everyone else pretty much holds that people do talk nonsense stuff. And if they say, my erech value is from this cup, we say it didn't mean anything. So how does he explain this? Erech arachina mitaltalin. So he gives another explanation. Maftis mitaltalin arachin. Where someone says, my erech value, I'm going to give to the Beit HaMikdash. And then he says, and I'm going to take it from the couch. I'm going to take it from the chair. I'm taking it from the car. So now you need to figure out what to do from the car, how to appraise it, how much to take out, how much to do. And all that appraisal needs to be done by 3 people. That's what he says, what it means. When it says arachin hamitaltalin, it means that my erech value that I have to pay using my metaltalin. The Gemara says again, hi arachin hamitaltalin. Is that really movable evaluations that are movable? This is metaltalin. These are movable objects shel arachin that come from because of an erech bebayilish. It should have said metaltalin shel arachin. Again, the Gemara answers tenei metaltalin shel arachin. Change the Mishnah. Let it say the way you think it makes more sense. Rabbi Bo says, I'll tell you the case. But Omer, he said, Erki alai. He said, my value is on me. Then he never came to give the money. So they're waiting for him and the Beit HaMikdash to come give the money. He doesn't show up. So what do? They send the kohen to come collect it from him. So what happened? Boy Kohen, but you made metaltalin, so the Kohen comes to grab from him metaltalin. So now the Kohen comes and takes it. You have to assess how much to take. So if it's dealing with movable objects, the Kohen comes with 3, and they assess. If it comes with land, then you need 10. Now the Gemara asks the basic question. And I'm learning it not like the art school is learning this question. Okay, I'm learning it the way in other places that learn it. Makes it a lot easier to learn this part. Amalei Rav Acha midifte the Ravina. Bishlem la fukim hegdish beinan shlosha. Elulai lule hegdish shlosha la mali. I understand. It all makes sense that when you want to take something out of the Beit HaMikdash and you want to take this phone from the Beit HaMikdash, you need three people to tell me how much it's worth. So this way the Beit HaMikdash gets its money. Why do I need three people to tell me when I want to give it to the Beit HaMikdash? If I want to give to the Beit HaMikdash, why I need three people to come and assess it? That's the Gemara's question. So Omer Le'Ravacha said to him, Svarahu, it's all logic. Mali. Ayuleo, my lula afuke. What's the difference if I'm taking or giving? Afuke, my time. What's the reason why when you're taking it, you need three people? Dilma ta'e, because you don't want the Beit HaMikdash to lose out because of a mistake. You want to make sure to get the right amount, so you get three people to check. Ayule nami. So too, if you promise to give a certain amount of money and you're giving a movable object, you have to make sure that it's worth what it's worth. You don't just want to give something and you say, I'm going to give $1,000, and then you come and you give a couch that's worth $200. You can't do that. So you got to get someone to come and appraise it. So you need an appraisal. You need three people to appraise it. So the logic is whatever comes in, comes out. You don't want the Beit HaMikdash to lose either way. And therefore, you need appraisers when it comes in and when it comes out. Yes, sir, Frank.
Hi. But when you assign something, you assign an item like that animal, or like you give an example, like that phone. When you assign a price, that's a price. When you assign an item, you don't compare that item to the price. Know what I mean?
Right. So it seems to be where they're what's it called? They're saying I'm going to give a certain amount of money, and then they're giving the object in its place. As such, now you need to get it appraised. That's what the Gemara seems to be saying. Right. If I just said I'm going to give the latest iPhone, whatever, to the Beit HaMikdash to help the Kahanim, so they'll be on time for the Korbanot. They have the Korban app on it. Everyone's bringing what time, so they need special iPhones for it. So I got the latest iPhone. That's it. You give the latest iPhone. There's no question. You don't need any appraisers. It comes to appraisers when you're saying I'm going to give $1,000, and then you say, okay, I'm going to give you $1,000 through Sfarim. I'm going to give you Chumashim. And like, okay, fine, we'll take it, but let's see how much is each chumash worth. How much is all the products worth? You have to make sure that it's the right amount of money. I think that's what it means. Okay. Now, Rabbi Yehuda in the Mishnah said that even though you have to have only three, he said one of them has to be a kohen. Papa said Abaya. Everything makes sense according to Rabbi Yehuda. Because it says, it says in the Psukim kohen. It says the kohen. That's where you're learning you need how many appraisers. So of course you need a kohen. But according to the rabbis, kohen lamalahu. Why is the word kohen there? If they're saying any three people can do the judgment of how much something is worth, like Mara says, kasha. It's a good question. Even though it's a good question, the halacha remains you do not need a kohen. The Ramah says, the way to answer this question is that you should try to get a kohen to be a part of it, but if not, then it's okay with three regular people. Now, when it comes to land, kohen, you need 9 regular people, and you must have one kohen. When it comes to land, you need one kohen for sure. From where do we know this? Now, someone on my Shabbos here asked, it says kohen 10 times, so you have 10 kohanim. Where are you coming up with one kohen and 9 regular people? It says kohen, it never says a regular person. So here, Amar Shmuel says, Asar kohanim ketuvim beparsha. It says 10 times the word kohanim in the parsha when it talks about hektish, by erech, by metaltalin, and by karkaot. It says 10 times the word kohanim. So he says as follows. The first time it says kohen chad megufe. It means that you need a kohen. Hanach havi miut ahar miut. But afterwards, it's considered a miut, an exclusion after an exclusion. Ve'en miut ahar miut el rabot. And exclusion after exclusion only comes to include. Okay, so this is a part of the halachot of how to darshan psukim. Miyut achar miyut means as follows. It says the word kohen. What does the word kohen mean? Kohen means a kohen and no one else. The word kohen is an exclusionary term. It excludes other people. Now that you say kohen again, that's another exclusionary term. Part of the principles of how to darshan a pasuk is if you have an exclusion after an exclusion, it's really coming to include. So that's what Shmuel said. The first one comes to exclude. That's my only kohen. Then every other kohen is coming to include. So therefore, it can be 9 regular people. That's the way Shmuel learned. That's why you need 1 kohen and 9 regular people. So Maskef let Rabbi Huna b'rei Rav Natan. Then Rav Pinchas, the guy who was learning with, he asked this next question in the Gemara as well. Maskef Rav Huna Rav Natan. Eimo chamisha kahanim, chamisha Yisraelim. Say 5 kahanim and 5 Yisraelim. Because you said when you have an exclusion after an exclusion, it means to include. So every kohen is an exclusion. Every other kohen is an inclusion. Again, it says kohen is exclusion. Next kohen is an inclusion. So exclusion, 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 exclusion. You're going to have 5 and 5. So have 5 and 5. Mari says, Kasha, yeah, good question. But it's halacha stays as is. That when it comes to land, you need 1 kohen and 9 regular people. When you're dealing with the land to the Beit HaMikdash, to give or to take, it needs to have 9 regular people and one kohen. Kasha, but it's not a tiyuf. Okay. Now, the Mishnah then said, "Ba'adam peyoytze." And when it comes to a person, it's like karka. He also needs to have 10 people to appraise him. One kohen and 9 regular people. The Gemara says, 1 second. Adam mikadosh. You can't give yourself to the Beit HaMikdash. Person cannot say, okay, I'm donating myself to the Beit HaMikdash. You cannot donate a person. You could donate a slave to the Beit HaMikdash, but you cannot give a person, a regular person. The fact that it uses the word Adam means talking about a regular person, not a slave. So Adam mikadosh. No, it's where he says, Be'omer damei alai. He says, my value is to be given to the Beit HaMikdash. He didn't say my erech value. Erech value is a set value that's brought at the end of Sefer Vayikra. When he says the my alai, it's my value. What does this mean? The Tanya, Omer the my alai. If he says my value is upon me, I have to give the value that I'm worth. Shamin oto ke'eved hamnimkar b'shuk. They take him and put him on the slave market, and they see how much he would get if he was sold as a slave. Right? What is some of the things we look at as a slave? The younger he is, he's more expensive. The stronger he is, the more expensive he gets. The fact that he can have children is also included into how expensive it'll go for. Right? If you have an old man with a broken back, he's not going to be worth anything as a slave for anybody. So you have to look at the person. You put him on the slave market. How much should be sold in the marketplace? And that's what he has to give to the Beit HaMikdash. If he says, my value is upon me, that's what he has to give. The Eved itkash lekarkot, and a slave is compared to karka, because the Torah says karka is an achuza, it's an inheritance. It gets passed down from father to son. You have to keep on to it. You're not allowed to give it to other people. It says the same thing by slaves. Slaves, Eved Kananim, we're supposed to remain in achuza, supposed to remain in inheritance. You're not supposed to let them out, and they're supposed to stay in the family inheritance one after the other. So. Therefore, we learned that it needs to be 9 and 1 when it comes to the value of a person. Now, the Gemara, and this is the last Gemara we're going to do, is this next piece. Boy Rabbi Avin. Avin asked this question. Se'ar ha'omed ligzoz. Someone has hair that's ready to be cut. Okay? How many people have to evaluate it? Meaning, he says, I'm going to donate my hair to the Beit HaMikdash. Okay? It's not cut yet. It's on him. So if it's part of the person, then you need 10 people evaluating it. If it's considered cut already, even though it's not cut yet, but it's considered it's ready to cut, it's considered already as if it's cut, it's considered a movable object, metaltalin. Then for metaltalin, all you need is 3 appraisers. So here, that's ready to be cut. Is it considered metaltalin or is it considered a person? That's the question. How many need it? Is it considered like it's cut already because you're preparing it to cut, and therefore you only need 3? Or is it considered as it's still connected to the person, and then you'll need 10? Mar says, Tashma, come in here. If a person was said, I'm giving my slave to the Beit HaMikdash, if he uses the slave, it's not considered me'ilah. It's not considered that he's misusing Hegdish stuff. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, Mo'alin b'sa'aro. But if you use his hair, then you did do me'ilah. So Shimon ben Gamliel says here, that's ready to be cut, it is considered me'ilah because it's considered already removed from the person. So therefore, you would need only 3. The Tanna Kama says the whole evidence is not considered me'ilah. It means that he holds it as part of the body, even the hair, and therefore it's you would need 10 people to appraise it. So you have a writer that argues. So here, that's ready to be cut. According to Shimon Gamliel, it's considered cut. You only need 3. And according to Tanna Kama, you would need 10, and it's considered part of a person. The Kaimalan, and we established that they're arguing about here that's ready to be cut. Shmamina, here we have our proof that it's a machloket if it needs 3 or 10. By the way, what would they use here for? By the way, you know what they would use here for? It was used to make bags. It was weaved into baskets. It was weaved into string. It was a very versatile thing. It was a something that they would use. Obviously, the longer the hair, the more they can do with it. Short hair is really not that usable. So it was something that could be used. Now, the Gemara wants to compare this case of the hair that's ready to be cut to another case. Name a Tanai kahana Tanai. Let's say that these rabbis are learning like another set of rabbis. The Tanai. Rabbi Meir Omer. Yesh devarim shehen karka ve'enan karka. There are stuff that are considered land and not considered land. Ve'en chachim modim lo. And the chachim were not moded them. Ketzah. Eser gifanim. Te'onot masarti lecha. I come over and I tell Ephraim, I gave you 10 vines that have grapes on them. Ephraim typically says, I just got 5 from you. And I gave him 10. He says he only has 5. Okay. So Meir says, what's the thing here? The psukim in the Torah, we know that a person is called modeh b'miktat. If he admits to half, he has to make a shvu'ah that he doesn't have the other half. He has to swear. However, when it comes to karka, that's not true. When it comes to land, even if he's modeh b'miktat, he doesn't have to swear. We believe him from what it is. So Rav Meir says, if I had gave Ephraim vines with grapes on them, he says Ephraim would still have to swear. It's not considered karka. And Chachamim say no, it's considered karka, and karka you don't have to swear for. Now, how do you explain this? We're dealing with grapes that are ready to come off the vine. Mar Savar Kibisore Damyan. One holds, or Meir holds, that since they're ready to come up, it's as if they were picked already. And if they're picked already, it's a movable object. And therefore, it's a movable object, and he's Modeh B'Miksat, he will have to swear. Umar Savar Lav Kibisore Damyan. No, it's still connected. It's not considered off it. And if it's not considered off it, it's considered as if it's land. If it's considered as his land, then when he is admitting to partial admission, he does not have to swear because it's part of the land. And therefore, you see the same machloket. Grapes, is it ready to come off? Is it considered part of the tree, or is it considered already off? Just like the hair that's ready to be cut, is it considered part of the body, or is it considered already as it is off? Martin says, not that simple to make that comparison. Why? Well, still Tamer Rabbi Meir. Even Rabbi Meir would agree with Rav Shimon ben Gamliel that when hair is ready to come off, it's considered already off. Rameir here holds that it's why? Ad kan like Rabbi Meir hatam. So far, Meir stayed. Kol kama deshvokul hu michachash kechoshen. Avasa'aro kol kama deshvokul hu ashbuhet mashbach. There's a difference between grapes, and there's a difference between grapes, and there's a difference between here. What's the difference? Grapes, if they stay on longer on the vines, they get ruined. The tree can get ruined, the grapes can get ruined. Therefore, we can view it as coming off already. But here, the longer the hair is on the body, the longer the hair will grow, the stronger it will be, and the more you can use it for. Therefore, it can still be considered part of the body. They're not comparable. Grapes are considered already off because if you don't take them off, they're going to get ruined. They consider to come off. But here, on the other hand, there's no reason to think about it that way, and therefore, the hair itself improves, and it's not necessarily the identical case. And that is the Gemara that we're getting up to for today. If there's any questions, I'll take it at this time. Otherwise, tonight we'll finish up Hilchot Leila Seder. I see some people listening to the Hilchot Leila Seder that I put the YouTube videos of. So we already did three parts. B'ezrat Hashem, the fourth part will come out tonight. I'll try to have it up already by tonight, Monday morning latest. Ephraim for the Haggadah Shir, right? The Haggadah Shir, B'ezrat Hashem, Tuesday nights. That's my what's it called? Goal. I don't know if it'll be a video or just an audio recording. It might just be an audio recording. I'll put it on YouTube. I don't know if I'm going to be have to get all dressed up and everything. It's going to be a little difficult. So we'll see how it comes out. B'ezrat Hashem, but B'lined it'll come out by Tuesday, Wednesday. So tonight 8:30. B'ezrat Hashem, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning it should be out already.
Turn out the recording, no?
What? Oh yeah, let me shut up the recording. You're right.